You are taught that patience and good intentions will compound into success. That if you work hard, stay authentic, and wait your turn, the world will notice. That belief is why you are losing. Comfort is not neutral. Comfort is a bill that compounds. Every day you protect that belief, you sacrifice outcomes for the feeling of safety. The shortcut you are avoiding is not a trick or a hack. It is a decision to stop paying for illusions that pretend to protect you. Here is the belief. Time will reward you for being consistent, agreeable, and deserving. Here is the reality. Markets reward scarcity, not effort. Outcomes follow leverage and selection, not virtue. People respond to incentives and perception, not your private sense of justice. That is not cynical. It is the baseline. Machiavelli explained that men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Stoicism reminds us to control what is ours and to expect chaos from what is not. When you mix the two, you get a ruthless clarity. Control your inputs, select your environment, shape your perception. Stop expecting the world to behave like a classroom. The shortcut that skips years of struggle is not mystical. It is the removal of the beliefs, habits, and identities that slow your compounding. Everyone is taught additive thinking. Add skills, add habits, add tasks. Elite performers use subtractive thinking. Remove interference, remove noise. Remove obligations that do not scale. The difference is not small. It is a different identity. You are either a collector of commitments or a curator of leverage. You are either a passenger in your own psychology or the operator of it. Let's put a target on the first belief. Authenticity equals success. You were told that being your true self will magnetize the right opportunities. Here is the problem. Most people confuse authenticity with unedited impulse. Stoicism teaches that your impressions are not your identity. They are weather. You can observe them without obeying them. Kahneman showed that System 1 generates fast narratives to protect your ego. Trivers argued that self-deception is an adaptation. It reduces the cognitive load of lying to others by lying to yourself first. If your version of authenticity is the defense of your first impulse, you are not being real. You are being predictable. Predictability gets priced in. Scarcity gets rewarded. Binary contrast makes this simple. Edited authenticity versus impulsive authenticity. One is deliberate and strategic. It selects what to reveal and when, without becoming false. The other is indulgent and costly. It demands that the world accept your raw output. One compounds. The other asks for permission. Choose. Second belief. Effort equals value. You think hours and sweat create a moral claim. They do not. Power laws do not care about hours. The 80-20 pattern is not a slogan. It is the statistical shape of reality in competitive systems. A small number of inputs create most of the outputs. If you distribute your effort across too many low-intensity tasks, you lock in mediocrity. The shortcut is brutal prioritization. Not because it feels good, because your brain has limited attentional bandwidth. Attention residue fragments your focus each time you context switch. Neuroimaging shows that the prefrontal cortex fatigues under sustained task switching. Dopamine calibrates to the most frequent rewards, not the largest. If you do 10 easy things that give you small hits, you dull your appetite for the hard thing that produces real leverage. Remove the small hits so your nervous system stops expecting them. The discomfort you feel when you do this is not a signal to stop. It is evidence that your reward system is recalibrating. Stoics train negative visualization to reduce fear. Picture the loss in advance, so the amygdala stops hijacking your behavior with surprise. You can apply the same mechanism to discomfort. Expect boredom, agitation, and social withdrawal when you cut low-value stimulation. You are not failing. You are rewiring. Third belief. Being liked is a strategy. For most people, it is a trap. There is a difference between being respected and being agreeable. Agreeableness is accommodating. Respect is earned through consistency and competence. If your behavior prioritizes being liked over being clear, you will overpromise, undersay no, and protect fragile relationships at the expense of real progress. Marcus Aurelius wrote about living in accordance with nature. Part of nature is conflict of interests. You can be ethical without being compliant. You can be kind without being available to everyone. The shortcut is to accept the cost of boundaries. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will object. That is not a signal you are wrong. It is a signal you are changing the incentive structure. The psychology here is plain. Social rejection activates the same neural circuitry as physical pain. Loss aversion makes the potential loss of a relationship feel more intense than the potential gain from a boundary. Mirror neurons push you to mimic the emotional states around you. If you do not knowingly choose your reference group, you adopt the values of whoever is closest. This is how people drift for years. They are running a social conformity script that their nervous system calls safety. If your circle resents growth, you will ration your ambition to preserve connection. That is not loyalty. That is self-blockage. The shortcut is to make proximity a decision. Who you are around is a strategy, not a coincidence. Fourth belief: mastery requires perfect plans. Planning is useful, but control is not achieved through prediction. It is achieved through selection and iteration. Stoicism separates control from concern. You cannot control variance. You can control exposure. Taleb framed this as barbell thinking. Limit your downside in most of your life. Take calculated asymmetry where the upside dwarfs the cost. You do not need more certainty. You need more options with capped risk and uncapped return. That is how compounding starts to work for you. Most people do the opposite. They take guaranteed small pleasures and avoid visible risk. The invisible risk accumulates. It appears later as a plateau. Cognitive mechanisms support this. Humans overweight immediate outcomes because dopamine fires on short feedback loops. We rationalize delay on long feedback loops because the brain does not get a clear prediction error signal. So years pass while you accumulate micro wins that feel like progress and macro stagnation that does not feel urgent. The solution is not motivation. It is changing the reward schedule. Shorten the feedback loops on high leverage actions. Set private targets that you can verify daily or weekly. Keep them within your control. Number of deep work hours with no notifications. Number of offers made. Number of pages written. Then detach your mood from the market's daily response. Your nervous system cannot pursue a target it only understands in theory. Fifth belief: balance is the goal. Balance is a political word. It sounds responsible. In practice, it often means equal dilution across priorities. There are seasons where imbalance is the only rational choice. The Stoic does not chase constant equilibrium. He practices equanimity in the face of imbalance. That looks like choosing a focus, accepting the cost in other areas, and managing the fallout without excuses. People will call you obsessive. They are telling you about their threshold for discomfort, not about your strategy. There is a difference between destructive compulsion and deliberate intensity. One is a loss of agency. The other is a chosen constraint. Constraints create identity. Amorphous preferences create drift. Here is the first wave: awareness. You now see the beliefs that hold you. Authenticity as impulse. Effort as value. Likability as strategy. Plans as safety. Balance as virtue. Here is the next wave: control. You cannot outthink your nervous system. You must train it. 3 controls move the needle. 1. State control. This is how you enter work. Cold starts are expensive. Rituals reduce friction. Keep them literal. Same time, same place, same first action. No theatrics. This conditions the brain to predict action after context. Use breath to lower arousal if you are anxious. Use movement to raise arousal if you are dull. Do not negotiate with your mood. Create a pattern that carries you. 2. Standards control. Make failure clear. Most people avoid clear standards because clarity can embarrass them. Define non-negotiables that are within your control. Sleep window. Work blocks. Input limits. You are not punishing yourself. You are creating a stable frame so your mind stops arguing with itself. 3. Selection control. You get paid at outcomes, not effort. Select the few actions that move outputs. For content, that might be daily shipping. For business, that might be offers and distribution. For health, that might be protein and training sessions. Keep the list short. Review weekly. Delete the rest without shame. These are principles, not micromanaged tactics. They produce compounding because they reshape identity. When you act as a person who controls state, sets standards, and selects with precision, you become someone whose baseline is higher. You stop paying the hidden tax of indecision and scattered attention. Third wave, mastery. This is where the shortcut becomes unfair. Most people chase intensity spikes. They binge improvements. Then they return to normal. Mastery is quiet. It is built on an understanding of how humans actually change. Neuroplasticity follows repetition, plus attention. The circuits you fire together, wire together. You do not need heroic willpower. You need consistent reinforcement of a small set of behaviors that map to your identity. Pair an action with a meaning that matters. When you sit to work, say out loud that you keep promises to yourself. This is Pavlovian conditioning, not poetry. Over time, the action becomes automatic because it is tied to self-respect. Emotions follow interpretation. Cognitive reappraisal is how you edit the story. When you feel anxiety before a high-leverage action, label it as activation. Your heart rate belongs here. You are not in danger. You are alive. This is not pretending. It is choosing a frame that keeps you moving. Motivation follows evidence. You do not think your way into belief. You act your way into certainty. Each kept promise is a vote. Each broken promise is a veto. Keep promises that are small enough to win daily. Expand gradually. Your confidence will grow because your brain collects data that you are who you say you are. Machiavelli made a simple observation. People do what they are incentivized to do. If you want to change behavior, change incentives. Apply that to yourself. Reward what you want to see. Remove rewards for what you want to stop. If you scroll, you pay a tax. If you ship, you get a privilege. Keep it binary. Keep it honest. Let's legitimize the counterintuitive part. Quitting is a strategy. You were told that grit is sacred. You should not quit often. You should quit early and precisely. Kahneman's sunk cost bias explains why people stay in doomed projects. They protect past effort instead of future value. The rational actor cuts. The fearful actor defends. Elite operators reallocate aggressively. They do not confuse loyalty to a tactic with loyalty to a mission. The shortcut is negative selection. Ask what you will stop, not what you will add. This creates space for leverage. Another counterintuitive claim. You do not need more information. You need fewer sources. Most consumption is anesthetic. The novelty keeps you from feeling the boredom that produces original work. Research shows that intermittent novelty spikes dopaminergic pathways and degrades sustained focus. Choose one or two rich inputs. Read original texts and act. Delay lowers recall and weakens conviction. The point is not austerity for its own sake. The point is to prevent your brain from outsourcing conviction to the next thread. Now the dark part. Your environment is not neutral. People who lack agency will try to equalize you. They will use moral language to do it. They will question your priorities. They will appeal to fairness. They will interpret your boundaries as aggression. They are not villains. They are running scripts that keep their world stable. If you accept their frame, you will spend years negotiating your standards down. Stoicism is not cold detachment. It is ethical sovereignty. You decide what is within your control, what you owe others, and what you refuse. You do not hide behind excuses. You also do not volunteer your life to people who have not earned it. There is also a Machiavellian fact you must swallow. Perception is part of reality. If you want to be effective, control signals. Speak less about plans. Deliver more visible results. Do not argue about your value. Demonstrate it in outcomes. Keep your code private. Publicize only what reinforces your role. This is not deception. It is resource allocation. Every public statement is a commitment. Commit to the right things. Here is how this escalates. At the start, you dismantled the belief. Then you controlled your inputs. Now you upgrade your identity. There are only two identities that matter in practice: sovereign or spectator. Sovereign. You act from a code. You train your state. You select your constraints. You build leverage. You accept loneliness when needed. You measure yourself by private standards. You cultivate optionality. You use history and psychology as tools, not as props. Spectator. You act from moods. You accept everyone else's priorities. You avoid discomfort. You chase applause. You consume to feel busy. You measure yourself by public reactions. You outsource your thinking to trends. Choose and accept the cost. One path is hard now and easier later. The other is easy now and cruel later. To make this real, remove one comforting belief today. Select from these: I must be liked to be effective. Replace with, I must be respected and useful. I need certainty before I act. Replace with, I need options and feedback. I have to balance everything. Replace with, I will focus on what composes my edge. If I work hard, the world will notice. Replace with, if I produce leverage, the right people will notice. Write your replacement. Say it out loud. Prove it with one action within 24 hours. Keep the action small and undeniable. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are building signal inside your own nervous system. This knowledge is not mainstream because it is expensive. It costs comfort. It costs certain relationships. It costs the illusion that you can have everything without trade-offs. That is why most people will ignore it. They will keep scrolling. They will look for tactics that do not require identity change. That is their right. It is also why they will keep repeating the same year and calling it growth. If you are still here, you have already crossed a threshold. You are willing to hear what most people avoid. You are ready to do what most people negotiate with. You do not need permission. You need a code and a corridor. Recognize the pattern. Awareness. Control. Mastery. Awareness. See the beliefs that tax you. Control. Train your state, standards, and selection. Mastery. Build identity and leverage that no one can give or take. This is the dark psychology shortcut. You are not skipping work. You are skipping years of struggle that come from the wrong work, guided by the wrong beliefs. You are not becoming ruthless to others. You are becoming ruthless with the lies you tell yourself. I will leave you with a simple rule. Results are the only language reality speaks. Philosophy is useful because it keeps you honest. Psychology is useful because it keeps you effective. Use both. Ignore noise. Move like someone who knows what they are building. If you want more, stay. This channel does not serve the crowd. It serves the minority who trade comfort for clarity. The ones who choose sovereignty over spectatorship. If that is you, make the decision visible. Subscribe, comment with the belief you are cutting, and hold yourself to a standard that would make your future self grateful. This is not entertainment. This is selection. The door is open for those who are ready to walk through it.